So the first thing we want to talk about in geometry is the basis of everything we're going to do, which is points, lines, and planes. So the smallest thing that we're working with in geometry is a point. And that's something that has no dimension and is represented by a dot. And it would look something like this, just a spot in space that you could call a letter. It's usually an uppercase letter. And that's point A. The next thing we have is line. And that's one dimension, meaning it just goes in one direction, like the x-axis. It's represented with a line like this, made up by 2 points that go on in both directions forever. It may also be called something like L. If there's a little letter at the side that's usually in cursive, that means that it's naming that line. It goes in both directions forever. A segment, on the other hand, is very similar to a line, except it has a beginning and an end. So it consists of 2 points with the beginning and an end. So this is just like drawing a line, except when you have points A and B, you connect them and don't extend beyond those endpoints. Now this could be called AB or BA. Notice these little lines above the letters. That's telling you this is a line segment. There's no little arrows. If I were to name this line, I could call it AB with arrows on the end, or BA. It's important to remember those arrows because that's what distinguishes a line from a line segment. A line goes on forever, and a segment has a beginning and an end. Now, a plane has 2 dimensions. And it's represented by a shape that kind of looks like a piece of paper if you were to draw that. Something like this. It extends in every direction forever, but obviously I can't draw every direction forever on my paper. So that's why we draw something that looks like this. This can be made by any 3 points that are not on the same line. So if we had A, B, and C, you'll notice it doesn't look like I can make one straight line between A, B, and C. That's what makes up a plane. It goes in every direction forever. You may also see a little cursive letter in the corners of these, like a P. That's another way to name this plane. You could call it P, or you could say ABC. That's plane ABC. Next one I want to talk about is collinear points. Now, if you look at the word collinear, you see co, meaning together, and linear, which means on a line. So collinear points are points on the same line. So if I have this line made up by points A and B, A and B are collinear. They're part of the same line. But if I draw point C over here, that's not collinear. It's not on the line. If I want to draw another point collinear to A and collinear to B, I could throw it on here and say D is collinear to A. meaning D lies on the same line as A. D is also collinear to B. It's not collinear to C. Coplanar points are pretty similar. Co, meaning together, and planar, meaning on the same plane. Points that lie on the same plane. So if I draw like a piece of paper like I did before, remember a plane is flat. We can draw points on it. Call that A, B, C. But if I draw a point over here, D is not coplanar with A. D is not coplanar with B. But A is coplanar with B because they're all on the same plane. Coplanar just means points on the same plane. This one's also very similar. Coplanar, meaning on the same plane. Lines. Lines on the same plane. If we draw our plane, and we have a line on it. Remember, we can call our line something like AB. But we could also call a different line just one letter if it's labeled. I'm going to call that line L. Those two lines are on the same plane, so we could call those coplanar. But if I put another line all the way over here, and imagine it's like above the piece of paper, it's almost floating above it, it's at a different height, this line, M, would not be coplanar with the other lines. It does not play on the same field. Next, we talk about endpoints. And endpoints are what are at the end of a segment, or what we're going to talk about next is the ray. So it just means these points at the end of the line segment. Points that mark a beginning and end. Now, a ray is the last one. A ray is kind of a mix between a lined segment and a line. A ray has an endpoint and goes on forever in one direction. And what that looks like is something like this, kind of like we're starting a segment, but then we continue it on forever. So if we have AB, we could call this ray AB. Look at how the arrow only goes in one direction when I name it. See how this arrow looks a lot different than if I were naming a line, which would have arrowheads on either side. This has an arrow only going in one direction. And that's the only way that we can name this ray. Because if we did BA, that would be going in a different direction. It's not like we're going from B to A. So we could only name it AB. Now for our examples. Let's name 3 points that are collinear. Remember, collinear means on the same line. So 3 points that are collinear. If I look at this line right here, I don't have 3 points on it, so I don't think I can use that one. But if I look at this one, I see a line with 3 points. So 3 points that are collinear, meaning on the same line, could be M, N, and L. Name 2 points that are coplanar. So this means I'm looking for 2 points that are on the same plane. I see N's on this plane and also Q. These other ones don't appear to be on that plane. So we can say N and Q. Name 2 points that are not coplanar. Well, I see that L isn't on this plane, so I could say L and Q, but you could have noticed a different combination. You could have seen N and M, or Q and R. There's lots of different answers. Name 2 points that are not collinear. So now we're looking for 2 lines that do not lie on the same line. So if I pick one from this orange line, I'll pick letter M. I have to find one that is not on the same line. How about letter R? So in this case, with M and R, those are not on the same line, which means they are not collinear. With this example, if I ask you to draw 3 collinear points A, B, C, it means I want 3 points that are on the same line. That means they are collinear. Draw point D that's not collinear with A, B, C, meaning it does not lie on the same line as points A, B, or C. So I can draw point D anywhere but on that line. Now in this example, if we had a line above this, it's asking you to draw a line segment AB. That means I have to have a beginning and an end. If it had said draw AB with arrows, that means I would have had it extend on forever, but it didn't. It asks for just the segment. Now draw ray BD. Ray BD is telling you that B is where it starts, and it's going in the direction of D. So we have to start at B and go in the direction of D. Draw segment CD. Same thing. CD, since it's a segment. And then we'll skip the opposite rays for now.